Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Norm Mathers from Enigma Media. I'm joined today by Reign of Z. How you guys doing today?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourselves and tell us how the band got started?
Sure. I'm Zosha. I'm lead vocals.
And I'm Berg. I play bass.
I always love when he does that. He's like, a burger, play bass. The B words.
Four letters. Four letters.
Four letters and
Works
four
out.
letters.
Yep.
It's
Bergen
very
bass.
elegant. I'm Bergen based.
Yeah, it almost became a knuckle tattoo.
I'm still trying to get him to do that.
The Bergen bass. That'd be cool.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be
That's what
pretty
I'm saying. Well, as far as like the origin of the band, I'll let you take this because I always tell this story. So I'll let you
No,
take.
you can tell. The
No,
story.
you
have it
take
down
the.
pat.
No,
Oh.
they want to. They want to hear from the bass player. The bass
No
player
one
never
cares
get.
about the bass
They
player.
do though.
I get shunned far too often, dude.
I don't really care. I'm a very private person, so
I showed him your videos and I said, "Look, we're being interviewed by another bass player. You should be so excited."
no, no. But honestly, the band started 5 years ago.
This April.
Yeah, this April, and
Cool.
a drummer friend of ours was in talks with Zoe, and I had worked with our old drummer, and basically the way it came down is this one said, "You're playing bass for me," and I said, "Okay," and she didn't really give me an option. So the other guys kind of came along with me, and we kind of just set out to, write a vehicle for Zoe to sing over.
Beautiful.
So that's kind of how Raina Z, like, it's an origin where she was like, I'm going to start a band or I'm leaving Pittsburgh. And we basically put something together and kept we evolved over time, but that was our goal, is to write a vehicle for Zosha.
Cool. I love it. And then hence the name Reign of Z.
Oh, tell him that, Jem, because that wasn't me.
No?
We had a manager.
No.
That was me being jackass. But so our manager at the time was like, let's work in her name into the title of the band and this and that. And funny story, you've followed us online. You've probably picked up Zosha's bulldog.
Yeah.
Name Rain.
Name Rain.
Yeah.
Okay, so her mother's in my ear like, you should name it after the dog. She could be your mascot. And I'm like, well, let's appease two people. Let's just call it Reign of Z. We got her name in there. And yeah. So, but it also entails, going out and taking over as well. But
I wish we could give you some like really deep, like
it's
monumental
really not
story.
That's
really
so perfect. Like, I mean, I haven't heard too many origin stories for band names, but it seems so cool. I like it.
Well, thank you. I wish I could be like, oh, I was in this like deep headspace in like Thailand and I had like a spiritual encounter. Nope, just simply named after.
Tried ayahuasca for the first time and.
Right.
Let's not talk about that. I've had too many bad experiences on that.
If you haven't picked up, Norm, we're pretty goofy. We don't take ourselves seriously at all.
Yeah, it's hard to in today's society,
Oh my God.
You ain't laughing, you're crying, man.
It's so true, especially but that's essentially like how the name came to be. He
I was annoyed by text messages at my job, and I was like, you know what? This is something, and it just stuck.
Cool. Everybody liked it, so we just rolled with it.
Yeah, I dig it too.
Thank you.
Okay, so when the band first got together, like were you working towards the first single that you guys released to Spotify anyways, or like what were the origins of writing and stuff like that?
We kind of just got together in a rehearsal room and just started writing and pounding out songs. Like, our first two singles that we released are actually on our Bandcamp right now.
Okay.
We kind of transitioned we transitioned those over to Bandcamp because we did come out with like a new sound with our EP and everything, but we still
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have them up there for people to
We
listen.
didn't have like we had like a manager slash producer instrumental, but we didn't really have anybody to kind of steer the boat. So for anybody who likes the gritty, I don't want to use the term overproduced because that gives like our music a negative tone. But I mean, in the sense it kind of like more of like a free for all, not so much of a structure, I guess
Mm-hmm.
I should say.
Yeah.
Bandcamp, those are like the OGs
Totally.
before we, involved.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then so the band formed in 2015. You guys released your first single in 2018.
When do we release Whispers?
Oh,
Was that
Whisper was 2017. We were 17,
yes.
17.
and
Whispers, yeah, Whispers, which was the one that Berg was referring to on Bandcamp,
Yeah.
was like our first single.
Okay.
And then Dysmorphia was kind of the one that got traction, and then that was, I don't know, that was that 2018,
2017, 2018,
2017, 2018.
Okay. How was the writing process of those?
With the whole 2020, I lost a year,
We
man.
don't know where we are.
Totally. Yeah. I think about last year and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's still 2020. And I'm like, oh no, it's 2022
Right?
now. Wow.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely.
You still have a month of where you can write 2021 on a piece of paper, and
And
like,
it's not wrong.
oh,
It's not wrong.
No, fair enough. Yeah, the scribble out and the 22 right beside it.
just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
just how can I work this one into a two without looking like an idiot?
Yeah, so how was the writing process of the for the first singles?
I mean, the first singles was basically like, because whenever we started, we had two guitar players,
Mhm.
and they would, we'd all kind of kick ideas back and forth, and just kind of, come up with verse, chorus, and then evolve from there.
Mhm.
And we really just kind of all just shot ideas back and forth till we settled on like, yeah, that's good. We all like it, so let's see how people take to it.
Mhm. See how they react or
It was
whatever.
more of a collaborative effort. What's that?
Yeah, see how they react to it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sure you can know, like, sympathize because you're in a band. I mean, writing songs is like throwing stuff against the wall and just seeing what's gonna stick. You
Mhm.
just don't know what people are gonna like,
Yeah.
you know?
And oftentimes like you're kind of at the mercy of the singer as well, right? For at least in our case, like uh it was hard for our lead singer Rob to come up with lyrics and stuff for our second EP that we released. Our one guitar player, like the way he wrote, he just kind of filled all of the spaces and everything with sound and riffs and stuff like that. So Rob's kind of like listening to this, he's like, man, what the heck do you even do over top of this? So a lot of stuff kind of
yeah.
Where
had
do
to
I
get,
go?
yeah, right. So a lot of our stuff had to kind of be subdued a little bit, or we had to write different parts to be able to have Rob sing over them and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
struggle is
almost like
real.
you gotta have those peaks. You gotta have those peaks and valleys, man.
Mhm.
Like as a musician, you practice, and yeah, you want to play like a
Crazy
ton.
stuff.
You want to fill that space with like, yes, this is what I can do. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out what's the balance here to make it the most impactful.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
hard. I tell people, and writing music is really like probably the most selfless thing that you can do, collaborating with a group of people, because no, they always say if everybody walks out not happy, then you got yourself a good song. Because it's just, you know, you're not going to please everybody in the camp, and it's truly give and take, and you got to really try to it's a hard process, but you got to try to give everybody something, to
Hmm.
be excited about, and
Yeah.
vocals are the hardest. I mean, I I always felt bad because I'm like, oh man, I'm a pain in the ass. Like, but I don't want to be.
No,
I don't want to be.
it's never like that. It's like it becomes problem solving after that, right? It's like, okay, well, how can we work this now, right? How can we spin it so we can make everything kind of jovial here?
Yeah, I mean, you want to give everybody like that piece to, especially the singer, to really shine, because if you go into a studio and you fill all the spaces with guitars, drums, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't really have a full band mix going on, where it's like you listen, like there's some songs out there where you listen, it's like the singer's up here and the band's here and there's really no mix.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it works.
Sometimes it does.
And sometimes it's just like, oh no, what were you thinking? You
I
know?
I find a lot of new, like the new pop metal that comes out, the vocals are very high, and then the rest of the band's kind of subdued a bit.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the band. Are you adjusting my hand?
Yes.
Would you like to hold the camera? I think I listen to a lot of stuff on radio. And Norm, I don't know if you've ever been through this or not, but during the pandemic, actually
Mhm.
the last couple years, not so much anymore. I'm kind of coming out of it. It was really rare for me to listen to something that really got me excited. And I don't know if that's me being a jaded musician or if everything's just kind of been done and like reformulated.
Mhm.
If that makes any sense, what I'm saying. And I don't mean that as a dig to any band out there. That's not what I mean. I just, it takes a lot now to get really excited to listen to something over and over again. And trust me, when I do, this one suffers with me because I'm like, I have to listen to that song again. And he's like, do you? I'm like, yep,
I I
It's lovely.
honestly
because I have to
just
deconstruct it.
just found a song this past week, and I've subjected my wife to it more times than she cares to admit, or she cares to listen to anyway.
The
Well,
the beauties of
and
being married to a musician.
I turn around, and I don't know if you've seen the new series Peacemaker on HBO Max.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's basically a spin-off of Peacemaker from Suicide Squad 2,
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not
and
familiar, but
with
continue.
John. Okay, well, there's an intro where it's 80s, like the band Wigwam. There's like this
It's so
theme
ridiculous.
song. It's so ridiculous, and there's a dance that goes with it. But I torture her in the car, and I just keep putting it on.
It's okay. I mean, and then I just told him I'm going to learn the choreography, and then it's all over after that.
Right,
It'll
yeah.
be a
Upload it
TikTok
to
video.
TikTok, yeah, and yeah, and you guys have millions of people watching you.
And
Over a choreographed.
over, you actually like putting your heart and soul out there with music. But hey, that's the serendipitous part of the world.
Right? Yeah, you have to reel
It's
them in some
fine.
way. Yeah.
It's fine. Oh my god. But yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about our tangent.
Yeah, no worries. Um uh who do you guys derive or where do you guys derive inspiration from for writing? Who are some of your guys' biggest influences?
I mean, that's the loaded question right there. Like,
Don't be a hipster about
no, it's not being a hipster about it and what's cool.
it.
I mean, honestly, with writing and that, like, obviously you look at, like what do you like now that's out there,
Hmm.
and it's just you got to find the things that work not only for yourself, but
But you like
you.
He Is Legend.
Oh,
You
he is.
like As I Lay Dying.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
I
just
come from.
answer for him
Yeah.
because he's not
Thank
So
you.
here.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, he came from, he was in a couple bands prior, but one got a lot of traction. But you liked As I Lay Dying, like I said, He Is
I mean,
Legend.
yeah. I mean, it all comes.
Tool,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
But obviously, I don't bring that to Reign of Z, for writing. It's more like what can I do to fit this vehicle for her,
Mhm.
more or less for pushing her vocals and letting her shine, with the big choruses and everything like that. I mean, somebody did compare us, and I want to thank them in
Oh, it's
person.
great. We use it for marketing all the time.
They basically made a comment that said, we're in this moment on a budget. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
I'll
Ouch.
take it. We are on a
Well,
budget.
okay. Okay. Like my honest assessment was like, if you took in this moment and kind of merged it with like Arch Enemy, that's where I would kind of put you
Okay.
I
guys.
love that.
But on a budget,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Listen, this is what I tell people because I'm sure being in a band, running your own podcast, like everybody with an a-hole has an opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take it and just use it as fuel because anybody knows if you're an independent band, you are on a budget. So you're just pointing out like the obvious. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
absolutely on a budget.
I,
And they're super successful. So I'll take it.
yeah. I bet even in this moment is probably on a budget as well. So
They're still on a budget. Well,
yeah,
they
right.
left
Yeah.
Atlantic, so I feel like maybe they might be on a budget
Yeah, right.
now. So, because
Just might be a little
that's a
higher,
lot
than
to,
ours, but
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I, but that's like the thing with online and people's perception of online. And I always say like online is not real life. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, I hear you.
It's it's whatever you want it to be online.
Yeah.
Not right now. This is real life.
Right. And online.
And
Whoa.
online.
And it will be online.
Okay. Tell us about your guys' newest single, Ignite.
Apparently this is all me. So when the pandemic happened, I was going through prior a bad breakup where I found out a lot of bad things about the individual who I was involved with. And I sat with myself and I said, how can I write the meanest, cruelest burn track where everybody's going to throw that thing on and be like, yes, I want to burn somebody's house down or punch them in the face. Don't do that, by the way. We're not endorsing that. But I'm just saying your internal feelings. And that's what I wanted to create with Ignite. And I kept rewriting it and rewriting it and rewriting it because nothing was perfect. And then finally it got to a point where we were set to go up to New York and record it. And then after I recorded it, because I harbored all this anger for like a year and a half, it was just like, whew,
Finally, just
gone.
got to release it all, and then that was it.
I just wanted it to be like Alanis Morissette's You Ought to Know, but the metal version, which I know that I'm setting the bar really high by saying that, but that was like my hope in my brain when I was, co-writing it with our producer.
Right. Yeah.
So that Ignite was born. Don't light anybody on fire, by the way. I'm not endorsing that.
Unless it's a Viking funeral. That's it.
Yeah, then
Right.
you're allowed.
If only we were allowed, right? I'd go out like that for real.
I know. I feel like that's like the way to go because then you're like going back into the world and like your ashes are like feeding the earth. Now I'm like turning into like a total
Unless
hippie.
you just get somebody that can't shoot a bow and arrow and they miss like 42 times.
Yeah, then that's bad. And then you like set a forest fire.
Yeah.
Then that's just like a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
But I feel you on that.
And you guys are currently working on a new EP.
I mean, that's the goal. We're working on some stuff. We got some moving pieces right now. Working on there's ideas being thrown around, and we're currently just looking to get out and hit the road,
Mm-hmm.
more or less. With doing that, obviously working on that in between some dates and things as
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah. So
That's the goal.
yeah. What are your guys' plans for 2022 show wise?
Well, I don't know when this is coming out, but we have a tour announcement on Monday at 11 a.m. with our co-headlining
Label mate.
label mate. I almost said partners, but then I was like, that's not the right word that I'm trying to use. He's patting me right now. He's like, it's okay. but but we go live on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to do our tour announcement. It's mostly going to be, I know that I can say this, it's like East Coast, um, Midwest. So we're going to be hitting a lot of the markets that we weren't able to hit when we were on the Combi Christ tour.
Okay.
So um, we're hoping to get back to some areas where people have asked us to come to and we've never played before. So we're jonesing to get back and touring.
Yeah, heck yeah, I bet. Um yeah, the episode won't come out till after Monday, but if you don't want to say who it's with or whatever, that's totally cool. Um
Oh, well, if it comes after Monday, we can say it because it'll already be. It's with Mantra of Morta.
oh, sweet.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like a girl power
Yeah.
tour, and we're really excited because Jesse and I are very different, musically, stylistically. So I think it's a cool fusion. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's going to be a lot of fun. Holy
So
cow.
yeah, we're excited.
Yeah. So how do you guys find
Go start.
pardon me?
No, I mean we're starting all the way because this is coming out afterwards. So
Yeah,
we're starting all the way in Chicago and finishing up 3 weeks later in Florida.
Oh,
So
sweet. Where is the band
it should be.
based out of?
Right now we're out of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
south of Pittsburgh actually, but yeah,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. I don't like to say Pittsburgh. I don't know.
So
Just edit that out.
how far is it to get up to New York?
6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours to New York City, 6 hours to Syracuse. It's all yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Very cool, very cool. Oh, awesome. That's going to be a
Where are
wicked
you out
wicked
of?
year. We're out of BC,
We're
Canada.
excited.
Oh, okay.
Get out.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I love
so
it. Do you know
um
Living Dead?
pardon me?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just asking, do you know the band Living Dead Girl?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, they're from Canada. I have had,
Canada's big deal.
well, I know, but they're doing things, so I didn't know.
All right.
But
I'm writing them
I know
down.
Molly, the yeah, Living Dead Girl. She's super cool. That might be something that, piques your interest.
Absolutely. I'll go check them out. Cool.
But didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
Pardon me?
I said I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I said you were saying.
Oh, I'm I totally lost my train of thought there.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I get it.
Um
that's that's been
so how do you guys find navigating social media in today's music industry and stuff like that?
this one doesn't. He hates it. So it falls on me. Honestly, it's so funny. I actually took courses during the pandemic and I'm
Mhm.
actually enrolled in courses now to learn about it. It's a love-hate relationship because what I've found in my personal Facebook and career is everybody takes the internet as law and they misconstrue a lot of things that you may post, which I don't know if you personally may have experienced or maybe your band. Um, so I try to keep things topical and concise, but I always try to find a way to be authentic in it, because I think people see through that as well. If
Yeah.
you're just like, buy my stuff, or, you know, do for me, people start to pick up on that and see through that. So, and I also have timers on my phone when to post
Oh.
because it just boils down to a social media with a science. So I try to just kind of do my posts and then go about my life.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question, or did I go on
No,
another
that was
tangent?
perfect. Yeah. No, I
Okay.
mean, we had the same woes, right? We started off like late 2018, early 2019, and as soon as we started trying to navigate social media, we were like, "Oh my god, it's so, first of all, it's so hard. Second of all, there's not anyone out there doing like what Enigma Media was doing at the time." And we were like, "Holy crap, like there's nowhere for emerging artists to go for an outlet to create any sort of content or anything like that." So we were like let's do it. Let's start interviewing bands. Let's get these stories out there. Like they I I don't listen to very much mainstream metal anymore. I prefer to listen to underground bands because I I I dig the amount of rawness that's still in the recording, the budget, if you will. I fucking love it. I
Yeah.
can't stand like an over polished product that is what like most people are putting out nowadays or whatever for mainstream bands anyways, right?
Well, and I think too, and I don't know if maybe you've encountered this, but like I always have said, the numbers don't matter. They really don't. Like, and I wish this would, if anybody takes anything from away from this interview, I'm telling you, I have seen bands with all these big numbers that cannot pack a house. And this true story, the first band that I was ever in, I won't say the band's names because I don't want people to come for me, but they were two very big national bands that we had to sell tickets for.
Mm-hmm.
And after we played, everybody left. And they have millions of followers. And it's just to tell people that that stuff is not real. It's not real.
But yet
Whoa.
it's the numbers that people look at.
Yeah, and it's like record labels look at this, they're like booking agents. It's like I just want to hit them on the head and just be like, "Listen, go see these bands live. Like that's going to tell you everything that you need to know."
Mm-hmm.
Is the live experience, because there's so many bands that just kill it live that don't have the social media numbers, and then they're not going to have, pardon my crass statement, but they're not going to have like a pot to piss in because they don't have the quote numbers, and it's just a shame.
Mm-hmm.
It gets me all amped. And then you can buy them, and then that's not organic or quote metal,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah,
I mean?
absolutely, yeah. Fucking posers.
Yeah, because you didn't earn them. You didn't go out and get those 5,000 likes. You bought them,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm not coming for anybody if they did that. I mean, I get both sides of the coin, but my point is that doesn't tell you the real integrity of the band.
It's almost something to just feed your own ego, right?
Absolutely. Like I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. Like how many friends do I have in real life? Like 3. You know what I
Guilty.
mean?
Yeah,
I,
guilty
I,
here too.
yeah, exactly. Because I think as musicians,
What's Facebook?
yeah, he doesn't know what Facebook is. He's like 95
No.
years old. No.
Dude, I've seen a picture of you on Facebook.
Say
I know that somehow randomly they appear. I
that
don't know.
it's probably because of me and I'm like hazing him. But like, but that's kind of like what I try to get across to people is, if I was blessed enough to get into the industry and make money, which we don't know what that is. I don't think a lot of people do. I would completely just like turn it upside down and like start investing in underground bands again like they used to, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a disservice, working class bands and indie bands, what they have to go through to just get a shot. And that's like my little soapbox. rant.
Well, honestly, there's just not enough exposure for underground bands. I feel like this is kind of like way off the mainstream thought, but like the people that have been famous for the last 30 or 40 years on like classic rock and stuff like that, like just put like I get it that it's great music and it's where everyone came from and everything like that, but like just like make it so that a certain amount of the music coming on to radio and stuff like that has to be new and underground bands, so that like everyone gets listened to or whatever, right? Like share some of the freaking pie with us
Well,
or
I mean,
whatever.
at least some stations do dedicate like
Local
local
listen.
listens or like Sunday nights to local stuff
Mm-hmm.
or like regional acts or whatever, you know, but they have ways of doing it, but also, you know, there's also a lot more platforms. I know there's things going on with Spotify right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, people have playlists and like, you know, if you can manage to network yourself to get on some playlist and grow and get your, you know, get your streams also, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, just to get out there. I mean,
Or if
there's
you have the capital, like that's the other thing that sucks is like one of my friends who's in a band told me to have a effective radio campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Effective,
terrestrial.
okay? Terrestrial, not not internet. $750,000. Who has that?
What?
Who has that? Yeah, that's what he told me. He said he heard that from a guy who discovered Madonna, Lady Gaga, like he got them on the radio. And it just broke my heart because I'm like, I feel like our industry has turned into, now I'm getting back on my soapbox again. Just he with the most capital gets to succeed
Mm-hmm.
because to just take it a step further, and there's a lot of things that bands will not talk about on interviews. Buy-ons, paying for radio campaigns, you know, just all the things. We have to pay for merchandise, you know, we have to pay for a
pay for our
booking.
music videos, you know.
Yeah, music videos, pay for a booking agent. Like we just hemorrhage money with no little return. But if you are somebody who's blessed or have somebody with deep pockets, then you get to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's all like that. It's just what I've observed. And I don't know if you have, or, you know, what it's like necessarily in Canada, but that's kind of what I've observed going on tours and talking to other bands.
Yeah. Um, well, I just did an interview last weekend with some mates out of Kent in the UK, and a gentleman's name was Connor, and they just finished Battle of the Bands. Now, what this Battle of the Bands was everywhere in the UK sets up a Battle of the Bands, different regions and stuff like that, and they're all playing to get to play the new Blood stage at this Bloodstock Music Festival. And I'm just like, damn, like, yeah, I guess in the States you guys are a little bit more privy to festivals and stuff like that, especially metal festivals. But here in Canada, it's very hard for metal acts to get out there and play big good sized festivals and stuff like that. You know?
And are you guys still kind of shut down, or like what's this, are you guys allowed to play out live yet, or what's
Yeah,
going on
no,
in your neck of the woods?
yeah. So they introduced the vaccine passports. Uh, I don't know how long it's been now, 6 months or something like that. That we've had the vaccine passport. So if you're double vaccinated, you have like a QR code on your phone that allows you to get into restaurants, movies, concerts, and stuff like that. But for people that are unvaccinated, then you don't get to enjoy the same amenities or whatever. So our the health minister for Canada came on, I believe, a week ago or 2 weeks ago now, saying that the lockdowns were going to continue for another 5 or 6 months with the same
Wow.
vaccine passport. So yeah, it's crushed the local scene around here. Um, the company that I run, Enigma Media, like we did a documentary last year, um, highlighting how devastating COVID was in BC, uh, up until I guess last summer, and we got approved to do another documentary this summer. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah,
Good for
so
you.
yeah, we're gonna be highlighting more of the Okanagan. I don't know if you've ever heard of it in BC, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, how it's devastated the Okanagan's um industry, music industry, and stuff like that. Lots of restaurants have closed down and stuff like that. Just real heartbreaking stuff, right?
I think it's admirable what you're doing because I think somebody who's in the United States versus Canada, um, you need to bring awareness to what's going on in your world because so many people don't know. And because of all these things on social media where they will kind of filter you out, or maybe they don't like what you're saying and they'll kind of poo poo you. I think it's super important that, you guys speak your truth and, you bring awareness to what's going on.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, so but on a lighter note, your guys' local scene is thriving?
Well, PA has kind of, I don't know how much you follow in the United States, but it's like the Wild West up in here.
Okay.
people are people are very passionate about the vaccine, whether being for it, against it, mandating it, so on and so forth. And I'm not here to speak on that because I'm not here to tell anybody what to do with their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say in Pennsylvania, from what I've observed, is if you don't have a vaccination or negative COVID test, you can't go to concerts, at least in parts of Pennsylvania, which has hurt um,
Local
local,
local promoters and
well,
things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the industry as well. And it's like that state by state. So some states you can go to and it doesn't matter. In some states, it's very, you have to have A, B, and C.
I think
So
if you go to Florida vaccinated, the governor sues you. I don't know, but
Whoa.
no,
he's being funny because like when we were in Florida, it was like when we toured with Combi Christ and we were in Florida, it was
Mm-hmm.
like COVID didn't exist.
no one talked about it.
Nobody talked about it, and the crowds were just packed. It was almost overwhelming because you step foot and you're like, oh my god, there's so many people. When's the last time that we've been around
Mm-hmm.
this many people?
Stop
So
stop breathing on
our
me.
our industry, yeah, please back away, sir. But
No, no, the worst was back whenever in 2020 in like July, we decided to go do a show locally here. And you know how there's always like one of like your supporters or like a friend of yours, they always want to talk, but they always want to talk whenever a band is playing.
of course,
So they're
And this
yelling.
guy pulls his mask down. He pulls his mask down and he is literally screaming at me to have a conversation. And I could just feel the spit hitting my face. And I'm like the inside of me is like dying. I'm like, that's it. I'm going back. I'm going back in the vehicle. I'm not coming out till we play. I don't know how to take this. Like, because at that point it was the first time like we were around people for like what 4 months. You know what I mean?
Berg was going like full Rain Man.
I was like, do I just get hand sanitizer and just
Yeah.
like wipe it all over my face? I don't know, but it was just like it was a scary moment up until the point where I was just like, I just if it happens, it happens. If you get it, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did. I got COVID before it was. I believe before it was a national thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't prove that, but I do think I got it, and then I got COVID again, and it wasn't as bad as it was the first time. So it's definitely something that I hope eventually, for your sake and our sake and just musicians all around, that we can at some point kind of get our lives back, whatever that may look like.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I'm not a politician, I'm not a healthcare professional, I'm not here to tell people their business. just to see music again because I think people need it more than ever.
Yeah, I think I think metal's gonna be on the rise here because I think there's just so much turmoil just sitting at home and being isolated for so long and stuff like that. I think people are gonna need that release.
That and this would be cool to kind of get your input. So I was just reading an article that metal placed top 10 music genres in the world. And I said to Berg, I was like, I wonder if we'll ever see like we did in the 90s again, where it was like a big wave of like music, um, just where there's a bunch of rock artists on like mainstream radio. You know what I mean? You would hear like Britney Spears and then you would
Hmm.
hear Nirvana, or you'd hear Marilyn Manson and then you'd hear NSYNC. It would just be cool to see something like that
Hmm.
again, where it's all copacetic.
Absolutely, yeah. Diversified. At least it keeps everything interesting, right? And you're not just hunting for different stations and or different outlets or whatever.
No, absolutely. And I'm sure you being a musician, like I listen to literally everything because as much as I love metal and that's where my heart is and hard rock, I can't listen to it 24/7. Sometimes
Nope, she has to sing me show tunes.
I have to sing him show tunes. We have to go on a musical theater journey.
Hmm, that's legit.
See?
Yeah,
He appreciates it.
it's entertaining until her voice literally reverberates off the car window, and it's like getting punched by her voice in the opposite ear.
There is a video on that on my Facebook page where Berg actually put in earplugs because I was so loud.
Yeah, because
Some
I blew my inner
projection.
ear. Oh, and it's just like reverberates around the car, and it's like I'm getting hit by like a 14 fisted banshee. Um, but
I'm here for you.
that's probably a band name. If you want, you can put it in the Berg random band name generators, 14 fisted banshee. I'll copyright it right now.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, it's one of those things, man. Because like there was a time in a project before we did Reign of Z where a sound guy blasted in the front monitors and created a vortex, and it was a small club, and I blew my inner ear out on stage that night and woke up the next
Oh
day, thought I was having a stroke. Yeah.
no. Oh
So like
dude.
after that, like ear health is crucial. As much as I want to be like that guy, we've all seen that guy that sat in his car and hotboxed it for way too long, that goes to a metal show, stands in front of like the gigantic speakers, like pushing the front of the house, and just like, yes, this is amazing.
He's
Just,
living his best life.
we all want to do that, but at the same time, like for what we do, I got to be able to stand up at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to be able to hear what you're playing at the end of the day too, right?
Yeah.
Whose career did that ruin? Who went deaf?
Oh,
He was an older
Wasn't it the drummer for the
I don't
Who?
know, but that
musician.
possibly,
That
but
sounds familiar because
Yeah,
I
the
know there was two very prominent musicians that went deaf that they couldn't perform anymore.
there's a great movie on Amazon. I think it's called The Sound of Metal.
Oh yeah.
okay,
If you haven't watched it, watch it.
on
It'll resonate
Amazon.
with you.
It's based, yes, it's on Amazon. It's based off of a premise of the movie is a drummer in a metal band loses his hearing like completely,
Oh.
and he can't. So he keeps trying to get these shows going by muscle memory, and it just gets to the point where he has to like
Give it up.
give it up. And it just
Oh.
shows like what this person goes through. I mean,
We didn't
being
ruin it for you,
no,
just for the
no,
record.
yeah.
You could read that online. I know what you think we blew it for
But I
you.
mean, it's a
No, no, it just
great
sounds
movie. Just
heartbreaking.
It
it
is.
really was. I mean, it was one of those. You're like, this could honestly happen to anybody.
So take care of your ears. If you wear earplugs and people make fun of you, you are the cool kid. They're not.
Yeah.
Because I wear earplugs to shows all the time. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, people can judge me or whatever, but
Band
I want to
ba-
be able to hear.
band practice, shows, arena shows. Yeah, I'm always wearing earplugs.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Yeah, both my brother and my dad have constant ringing in their ears, so I didn't want to do that.
I mean,
No.
there'd be times back in the day. I mean, I've been doing this for a minute. I'd just come home after a show and just lay on my living room floor, and just the constant sounds of ringing in your ears until you eventually passed out. Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
No
I
fun.
don't miss it at all. Now we moved to like in ear. We've been working out an in ear monitor system, and I tell you what, that has been a blessing.
You still have to be careful with that though, because you can't turn it up too loud because you can really mess yourself up with in ears.
Yeah, hurt yourself
Huh?
So
the same way.
absolutely.
What?
Don't even. He sees through you. Don't even.
Um, so what are your guys' plans for, like, say the next 1 to 2 years, and then what are some like 2 to 5 year plans for the band?
Wow, that's a. I would like to be a millionaire. Just kidding. That's doesn't happen in our genre.
That's the 5 year goal. Okay, okay, okay.
That's a fun. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
No, I mean,
Um, I, I, I think any musician's goal, we would just like to sustain ourselves off of our music. We honestly like. Obviously, I want you to interject. I don't want to speak for you,
it's fine. I just go with it,
but I think very humbly, like I would just like to be able to make money off of what we do and just
or just to sustain the
yeah.
lifestyle of writing, recording, touring, and just stay on that because it's just too damn fun.
Absolutely.
Living out of a van. Some people look at it going, "That's what you want to do?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
it's great.
it's wonderful."
We like it.
See different places. You find out where the free showers are. You don't really see a lot of the cities, but you get to meet a lot of new people and just have a good time. And being out on the road is just amazing.
And I always say this in interviews, but I don't truly mean it. I always say like I hate the human race and like we're the plague. But when you're on tour, you do see true beauty of humanity. I mean, our Combi Christ tour was very trying, and we saw some very beautiful acts of humanity for us. Um, and it was a very humbling experience because I'm sure that you can sympathize with this. Like when you're local, like to your area and you've been playing locally, you're like the big fish in the big pond and everybody knows you and you know that you're going to get X amount of people. But when you start touring and really pushing yourself out of your envelope, you're not going to have that admiration like you do in your hometown or maybe a couple states out. And to go out there and be the lowest man on the totem pole and still have people appreciate your music and help you, when you get a flat tire or if you get sick or if you need a place to stay. It's a very like humbling, beautiful experience, you
But
know.
honestly, to answer your question with the 2 year, 5 year,
I'm sorry to go on a
yeah, I know.
tangent.
It's obviously you got to just see how the world plays out. Like we're just basically right now. I mean, booking is okay, but I mean, you don't know until something could take a turn for the worse. You know what I mean? So like, you kind of just have to adapt. And the one thing that we can do to keep things moving is just to write and put stuff out.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before COVID Albatron comes out and fucks the whole world up, right?
Of course. Of course. And that's and that's why I say like I hope
Um,
eventually we can just find a way to live with this whatever these things are going to be to give people back their joy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Um, oh, I had a thought, but it escapes me. Um, okay, so I know we briefly touched on it. You went on one of your tangents about the industry.
I did.
Um, but it's something that we ask all the bands, and it's, if you could change one thing about the music industry today, what would you change?
Oh man.
I mean, if I'd change anything, hmm, probably say, what's recouped from streams. Get more money into the artist's hands, as opposed to sitting in a room going, well,
We
let's
made
argue.
$10.
Let's argue over. Argue over 10 cents on the dollar. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how's that going to break down for everybody? You know, you can't live off that. I mean, ham on ham sandwiches are delicious, but I'd like some bread every once in a while.
I I would change the buy-on formula. I would think that if there's a big band that wants you to go out on tour and they like you and they approve you, that they should just take you
Mm-hmm.
for like for younger bands. And I know that might catch me some heat for saying that, but I just think it's unfair for bands to hemorrhage to pay $6,000 or $20,000 to go on tour for 4 weeks with said band and not have jobs, and then basically say, well, you're not going to get food. We're not going to give you this. You're going to live off your merch. And sometimes the venue will take your merchandise money. And I think artists, no matter what level, deserve to get paid. So I would change that formula.
Yeah, we actually interviewed a band. I don't know if you've ever heard of Unleash the Archers, but they were in our documentary. Um,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, they had a tour set up with Dragon Force, and they
Oh, get
were,
out.
yeah.
Cool.
But I'm sure now that you're talking about that, I'd never heard of a buy-in or a buy-on before, but I'm sure that's what it was because they were talking about how much they were indebted to the tour. But their fans were amazing and totally um like uh like threw them a life vest essentially, bought a bunch of the tour merch even though they didn't go on tour and everything, and yeah, kept their heads above water and stuff like that.
That's amazing. And I hope if any bands watch this and you're in that position, please talk about it. It needs to be talked about. People need to know that these things exist, because I think a lot of young bands get starry eyed and they're like, I'm going to go on tour with blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, yeah, you are going to go on tour with blah, blah, blah for $10,000.
I,
And if people forget, like, our genre is a working class genre. We are, our music, rock, hard rock, heavy metal, whatever, we're the heartbeat. We're the ones that been through crap. We're the ones sleeping in the cars and in recovery and going through, toxic relationships. We're the ones bringing things to the forefront. And to just ask bands that, like I said, I know I'll probably catch heat for saying it, but I really encourage any bands that come on and talk to you to talk about it, because we have to. It's the only way that the industry is going to change, is if we start having a conversation about it.
yeah. Talking about working class, I'm gonna give a shout out to Lamb of God right now. I remember listening to one of their interviews where they were saying that after they wrote and toured Ashes of the Wake, they were still coming back to their day jobs in Virginia or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, I'm not proud. Like, I'm not out there pretending to be a rock star. We're not. Berg and I come back to day jobs, and
Two of them.
two of them, and we're blessed to have people that are flexible like that. But I know anybody in that position where they're like, oh, you can go on tour with, I'm just using this as an example, like, oh, you can go on tour with Hell Yeah, and people are like, hell yeah, no pun intended. But it's going to be $15,000. Well, now you're not working your day job, and now you have to pony up this money, and people just continue to do it. And I mean, that's fine. That's the formula for right now. But I really hope that formula changes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea. Holy cow, that's very eye-opening. I'm going to make sure more people know about that.
Yeah, I would love it for you. I don't know how ballsy you like to get on your um podcast, but it'd be cool if you would ask like a band, like, oh, if they went on tour with so and so, you'd be like, oh, did you buy on? Just see their reaction. You could turn off the recording at
Yeah,
that
right.
point. But
Yeah.
but just kind of see, if you want to say off the record, but just see how many bands will open up to you about that. Because even bands now have to buy on to festivals.
Right, right, right. How
So
sad.
it to me it's so sad because there's so many talented bands out there that are never going to get a shot because they don't have the capital.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's what breaks my heart. So
I come from a working class band as well, so I know the struggles for
so
real.
so if you vote me for
Yeah, absolutely.
for
Yes.
metal president,
President of the world. Yep.
I'm going to change that and I'm going to let people just go on tour and they will get paid. I don't know how that would work out in the real world, but I'm just putting it out
Yeah,
there.
well, yeah. All construction industry would stop like almost immediately.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, but I definitely am a big advocate for artists on all levels that they deserve to get paid, whether it's local or national. You deserve to be paid for what you do. You put a lot of time, energy, and money into it.
Hell yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, do you
And
wanna?
and honestly,
Oh
exposure bucks. I'm sorry, exposure
no.
bucks should be a cryptocurrency.
That's
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
Exposure bucks. Yes. Oh, we'll pay you an exposure. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna be a millionaire after tonight.
Yeah.
Don't even
Yeah.
worry about it.
Listen, we'll turn that into a
Let's do
cryptocurrency.
crypto for exposure bucks. We'll
Hell
all
yeah.
be loaded.
There'll be so many musicians that'll just be loaded like GameStop millionaires.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, continue.
No worries. Yeah. Just before we wrap up, what do you wanna? Do you wanna say anything to your guys' fans?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, thank you so much for supporting us through the pandemic. Thank you for taking the time to like listen to us. We are truly appreciative, and sign up for our newsletter so you guys get the exclusive on where we're going to be before the world knows basically where we're going to be. So make sure you stay tuned to our little newsletter that we send out. So, but I thank you, Norm, for just taking an interest in wanting to talk to us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank
Oh,
you.
no. Thanks for coming on. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is Enigma Media. My name is Norm Mathers. This is Reign of Z. Peace out.